What's up, YouTube? I'm back with another video, and weekly TV is overrated. Alright, so for those who don't know, Scott Pilgrim Takes Off creator came out and said that Netflix releasing all the episodes at once is, and I quote, the dumbest shit ever. There's literally no upside. Imagine if the whole X-Men 97 was out. This sparked a debate on the internet about which one is better, weekly TV and binge watching, and I wanted to give my thoughts on that discussion. So I think weekly TV is fucking overrated. Okay, I'm sorry, part of my French, part of my language. Okay, I'm a little bit rusty. Okay, but I don't give a damn about weekly television. Okay, I don't understand this need for everything needs to be talked about after each episode. Not every episode needs to be digested and picked apart, okay? One example of a show that was released weekly that you didn't need to release weekly was Reacher. Reacher season 2 came out and each episode dropped weekly, okay? The first season I kind of understood because it was kind of like a murder mystery in the small town, so they kept doing reveals little by little where you need a weekly episode. This one wasn't of that. Like, it was a mystery, but like the way the story unfolded, you didn't need a weekly episode to build suspense. No one's talking about, oh my god, did you see Reacher season 2 episode 4 when it found out that XYZ was actually portrayed the group at the end? It's like, oh my god, you know, it's like, yes, the show is fantastic. I love Reacher. I'm not saying that's a diss to Reacher, but like, some shows that benefit and some shows that don't. But this general statement of weekly TV is what keeps the TV shows interesting is a damn lie, okay? We don't care when the show comes out. We need all the content as fast as possible, okay? And there's been more instances than not where weekly TV has ruined a show and ruined a hype for a show than it not being. For example, Invincible. Weekly TV, already an issue. I personally don't like weekly TV, but you know, then you take a 3-month break, or like what CW does where they take a mid-season break. That is ridiculous, okay? Because once you get back, the storylines before the break and the storylines after the break, they don't hit the same, okay? For example, when Angstrom Levy showed up, right? It was cool, but like, and you saw like clips and hints of him throughout the season, but the breaks in the weekly episodes ruined his whole like plan and build up. Because in the first episode, from the origin to the final, where he finally shows back up, it was like, it's cool, but like this whole thing where we try to build like, oh, he's been a mastermind in the background this entire time building his plan to defeat Invincible. It didn't really hit, bro. I'm sitting there like Charlamagne, like, nah, bro, come on now. I don't really care, cause after he shows up, it's like, bro, where the fuck you been at for the past like goddamn 5 months, bro? It's like, it's like, and it's not, and how would I put this? It's not the fault of the writers. It's the fault of the scheduling and the whole dropping episodes weekly plus the break that has ruined it. And no one's sitting here talking about, oh my god, like, did you see Invincible, blah, 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 because it dropped weekly. People's gonna talk about the show regardless, okay? A show that is similar to Invincible, that all the episodes dropped at once, was The Boys, the first season. When that dropped, everybody and their mom was talking about like, yo, what is this? Oh my god, blah, 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 blah. Because of how good the show is, okay? When a show is good, people will talk about it regardless of the release schedule. So this whole need of like, oh, we needed to drop weekly for hype, you're just set in the old ways, okay? This isn't the old days anymore, alright?
Shit, man, yo, if this was the old days.
Yeah, now, well, the thing about the old days, they the old days.
And if we're being honest, the discussion and breakdown after each episode sometimes have people overhyped about the next episode, and it leads to disappointment. For example, X-Men 97, right? So by the time you see this video, last week we had the whole episode about Genosha and the whole things that happened there, right? And it caught everyone off guard, very shocking. If you haven't seen, I recommend you go watch the show and find out what I was talking about. Everybody was talking about it. So for the people who don't know, the next episode, the title is Life and Death Part 2, which is going to be a continuation of the Storm storyline that is unrelated to the Genosha thing, right? People who don't know that are going to have built up all this anticipation and all this expectations about the next episode just to be disappointed. Another example that's not related to the X-Men one is WandaVision. When each episode came out, you had theories, you had speculation. Oh my god, Mephisto. Oh my god, Quicksilver. Oh my god, X-Men. Each episode was building, which is a fault to the writers because they knew what they were doing. and the fault to the fans because they put all this expectation on the show, which led to what? Nothing. Nothing happened from all the speculation. Everyone was wrong, and the writers did all this for a shitty dick joke, okay? Ralph Boner, never forget it, right? And so it just leads to the anticipation, the breakdown, leads to an unnecessary expectation that people don't need, okay? And honestly, if all the Disney shows dropped at once, it would have tempered a lot of expectations that people had of each episode. Another example would be Falcon and the Winter Soldier with the whole John Walker scene. Yes, it was a moment, but now people aren't talking about Falcon and Winter Soldier like this was a moment in time that people will never forget. People had anticipation of the fight scene between John Walker, Sam Wilson, and Bucky Barnes, but when it happened, people was overwhelmed because you had a whole week of thinking of the most creative fights possible, and it only led up to like what, a 10-minute fight, okay, in a 30-minute episode. All right, it's like we don't really care. Then it ruins the whole thing, because if you sit there and you're thinking about it, think of it like this, think of it like as a date. You finally ask this girl out. She says yes, you're hyped, you're geeked. The date is in a week. You're thinking of all these different scenarios, how to impress her, when you finally meet her, what you're going to talk about, this and the third. You meet her and it's underwhelming. It's like, it was okay. You didn't have too much fun. It was all right, Y'all hold hands at the end, but it wasn't really, it didn't get your rocks off, It didn't get your rocks off, right? So you're kind of a little bit overwhelmed, okay? And it kind of like the expectation that you had, which is, everyone's human. Everybody has expectations of, you finally getting what you want, and it's underwhelming. Trust me, I'm a Moon Knight fan. It happens to me all the time. But that stuff like that can be avoided if you just release everything at once. We're like, this is the story we're doing. There's no like waiting a week and thinking about, oh my God, wait, this and a third. Same thing with Invincible again. When they did the whole like, people were expecting Spider-Man to show up. People were spectating for weeks. Oh my God, like Spider-Man's gonna show up, this and the third. And when they did Age of Spider, which for licensing reasons and copyright reasons, stuff like that, people was underwhelmed because like, we waited a week for this. The speculations, this and the third. If they would have dropped the whole thing at once, I don't think this would have been a problem. There's more issues being solved from releasing it all at once than it is from doing it weekly. And so one big point that people constantly bring up with the whole weekly thing is better than binge watching is the discussion after each episode. Each episode feels like an event when you watch it. But that only works if you are invested in the community that you're watching the show with. If you're ingrained with the source material and you're interested to see people's opinions on how the source material is being handled, etc., 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 right? So if you don't care about that, if you don't give a damn about what people are talking about it, that doesn't really matter to you. You just want to watch as much as possible, okay? And it also removes the whole thing with the spoilers of like, you don't have to avoid it if you're not in those communities that are watching it, right? So, for example, I watched The Walking Dead, right? I watched the first 2 seasons. I didn't really pay attention like that, right? If I'm watching it each week and I'm ingrained with the community of each of the source material, how it was being handled, I will understand the each weekly episode thing. But me as an outsider, I don't care about how the source material was handled. So I just want to watch as much as possible to enjoy what's being in front of me. I have a personal connection with this thing. I don't care about what other people are talking about it. So revealing it all at once isn't a bad thing, because I'm not missing out on engagement I was going to engage with anyway. And to respond, so I haven't seen Scott Pilgrim Takes Off. I am a fan of Scott Pilgrim. I got all the books. I watched the movie religiously. Just haven't gotten around to it. Because one, the marketing was ass. I had no idea this thing even dropped. Like, the only time I knew this thing dropped is because I saw this tweet. I was like, wow, this is out. Like, what's going on? Like, what? I didn't know this show dropped. And now, looking into the reaction of the show, people are either lukewarm or not really into it. Because it was marketed as one way for those who actually saw the damn trailer, which I didn't. I had no idea this thing dropping. I know the announcement of Netflix doing something with Scott Pilgrim, but I have no idea it was made or whatever. It marketed as one way, and then the show did swerves that went away from the source material, which threw fans off guard. And so people was like, if I had to wait to watch this weekly, I would have gave up on the show regardless. So it could be a quality issue. It could be a skill issue. Could be a skill issue as to why, no matter what, if it was dropped weekly or binged all at once, it wouldn't have worked regardless. Because I could easily see it if they did the weekly model with Scott Pilgrim and it still didn't work, he would have came out and said, well, I wasn't able to tell the entire story to keep the fans engaged. If they would have just released it all at once, it would have worked better that way. I could easily see that happen because apparently they didn't get a season 2. So it's very interesting to see everyone's response, and I want to know what y'all opinions are. Do you prefer your shows to be weekly basis? Do you want all your content at once? Do you want to binge it all at once? I'm on the side of binging it because weekly shows, the whole discussion thing is unnecessary to me. I don't give a damn about what people are discussing. I just want to enjoy the content. But those are my thoughts. Let me know down below what y'all think. I'll be in the comments, and I'm out. Peace.